look at your cha-cha routine now. So the cha-cha is based on two major actions, rock steps and chasses. So if you've seen swing, a little bit similar, but stylistically quite different. Also, like salsa, you'll notice that we've got that forward rock and back rock action. So let me just demonstrate what the basic looks like. So we begin with the side step on 1, and we dance 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So you see rock steps and chasses. So look at those rock steps for a second. What's gonna happen is we're gonna do our forward rocks on our left foot. So you're gonna rock forward and left foot, take a small step, and then you're gonna replace your weight back onto that right foot, and then you're going to close your feet and change weight to your left foot. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do a rock step back on my right foot, rock back, replace your weight forward to your left foot, and close your feet. Okay, I'm just gonna do this facing the wall for a moment here. So starting with your left foot, you rock forward, we rock back, and we close. That's your left foot rock. Right now I'm gonna go back on my right foot, rock back, forward, and for now we're gonna do the close. Okay, so those are the rock steps. Now we're gonna look at the chasse. The chasse, like your swing, if you've seen that already, is 3 steps to the side, to the right, or to the left. So in this case, we're gonna go side, together, side to the right, and then we can do the same thing going to the left, side, together, side, and we can just keep going back and forth, side, together, side, side, together, side. Things to note about the cha-cha is that, like most chasses, right, we're gonna stay to the balls of our feet, making sure that we can stay moving pretty quickly, and we're gonna take fairly short steps. We're not taking giant steps. So as I do my first step, it's gonna be basically like just out from underneath my shoulder, right? And then I'm gonna close the left foot to the right foot, staying to the balls of my feet for the most part. Again, I'm not trying to rise up, I'm just keeping my weight forward. And then from this foot, my left foot, I'm gonna press and take a side step, okay? And then again, I'm gonna take that side step, make it fairly short, yeah? Side step, short, close the right foot to the left foot, and then press, taking my final step. Yeah. Another thing you can add to the cha-cha to make it look more like cha-cha is to add a little twist. So I can twist inward away from the foot that I'm stepping on, twist again away from the foot that I'm stepping on, and then twist away again from the foot I'm stepping on. Yeah. So again, I can twist, 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 and twist, twist, twist. Not super necessary, but just if you want to add a little something to your chasse. Okay. The timing of this is going to be 4 and 1. Okay, so we're gonna use half a beat, and a whole beat. So it's pretty fast. 4 and 1. Okay, so now let's put together with a rock step. So we're gonna start, I'll talk about timing in a second, but let's look at this figure for a moment. We're gonna start with a forward rock. Rock step on the left foot, now I'm gonna do a chasse to the left. 4 and 1. Then I'm gonna do a rock step back onto the right foot, and then I do my chasse to the right. Okay, so that's the structure. Rock, step, cha, 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 rock, step, cha, cha, cha. Let's look at the timing of this. Now, here's the important thing. The rock steps are gonna be on beats 2, generally, right? So this is what's called breaking on 2. So you're gonna take that rock step forward on beat 2, then back on beat 3, and then our chasse is gonna be 4 and 1. And as I do my back rock again, it's gonna be on beat 2, 3, 4, and 1. So when we begin the dance, what we have to make sure is remember that the 1, right, my first step is really a side step, right? So as I start, I'm gonna begin, in this case, weight on my left foot with my right foot free, okay? And we're gonna step onto the side on beat 1. Then we keep going 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1, right? So just remember that your 1 is a side step. 2, 3, 4, and 1, and that'll help with confusion because I think sometimes people want to break on beat 1 and it's really important that we break on beat 2, okay? Next figure, we're going to look at crossover breaks. Very similar to your basic, the difference is going to be, I'm just going to show you in the context of a basic. First 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. There's your basic. Now I'm going to do crossover break. 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. So the crossover break is basically a change in the rock step action. So rather than, as I do my chasse, 4 and 1, rather than doing a forward rock without any turn, what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna turn a quarter to my right, then I'm gonna do a forward rock on my left foot, rock, step, then I'm gonna turn a quarter back to my left to face my original orientation, and I dance my chasse, 4 and 1. Normally here I would go back on my right foot, but instead I'm going to turn a quarter to my left. I will dance my rock step forward on my right foot this time. Again, I'm going to turn a quarter to my right to face my original alignment, and I will dance my chasse. So just repeat that. I turn a quarter, dance my rock step, turn a quarter back to my original alignment, and do a chasse. And again, I turn a quarter, do a rock step, turn a quarter, dance my chasse. The timing stays the same as your basic. We do the rock step on 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. That is your crossover break. Final thing that I want to do in this body of work is the spot turn. It starts like you're going to do a crossover break. So if we have a chasse 4 and 1, I do a quarter turn and I hit 2. But rather than replacing back to my right foot on 3, I'm going to turn half a turn and then replace onto my right foot, excuse me, on beat 3. Then I'm going to continue that rotation, turning another quarter to face my original orientation and dance my chasse. Yeah, let's do that one time. So I've got 4 and 1, turn a quarter, 2. I do half a turn to my right, replacing to my right foot, 3. Another quarter to face front, and I do my chasse 4 and 1. I can do the same thing the other direction. Again, I'm going to turn a quarter as if I'm going to do a crossover break. I take a small step forward, 2. Continuing to turn to my left, I do another half a turn, replace back to the left foot on 3. I keep turning to the left to face my original orientation, and I do my chasse 4 and 1. So again, I turn 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, turn 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Couple little points on that turn. I'm going to do this sideways for a second. So if I'm doing my 4 and 1, I'm going to turn and make sure that I take a step right in front of the other. Right? It's kind of a common theme if you've seen some of the videos. One foot in front of the other, and I'm going to turn a full half turn, but only a half turn, right? The tendency is going to be to want to whip around the whole way. Just a half turn. Half turn. As I go into the chasse, that's when I'm going to finish that rotation. Okay, that's really important because it can throw you off balance if you try to turn too much. Same thing going the other direction. I go to my left. I'm going to turn quarter turn only. I place that foot one in front of the other, and I do half a turn only. I'm not worried about turning my original direction yet. Half a turn. Then as I go into the next step, that's when I'm going to finish that other quarter turn. That's going to make life a lot easier for you, right? And again, the timing of all these is the same. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Okay, now we're going to work on Cuban breaks. Before we do Cuban breaks, I want to go over a position called a Cuban cross. This is going to be important. It's going to help a lot. So Cuban cross, very simply, is you've got one foot in front of the other, the front leg straight, front foot flat. Back leg is bent and the heel is up. So it's like a checked position, right? So basically, this is almost like we're halfway through our walk, right? Now, things to note. This is not a super wide step. Okay. I am definitely split weight. Right now, I can't pick up either foot. Okay. If I were to pick up either foot, I would just fall, right? I've got weight 50-50 split between the front and the back. It feels a little heavier to the back because all the weight is concentrated to the ball of my foot, but I'm basically right smack between my feet. Okay. So this is a Cuban cross position, and I can do it with the left foot forward, or I can do it with the right foot forward. Okay. Now, with the Cuban cross position, this is kind of the general position we're talking about. It can get a little tighter, right, depending on what I'm doing, but for the moment, we'll just use this one here, okay? So now what's gonna happen on our Cuban breaks, a Cuban break is basically a position where I'm going to walk forward into that Cuban cross position, okay? So it's no longer a full walk, right? I'm now doing a partial weight change, stopping mid-stride like this and moving back. This will probably fall under your feet pretty quickly as soon as you try to do it fast, but just a couple of notes in case it doesn't happen to you naturally. What's gonna happen is as I move forward, I'm gonna start to pick up that heel, and that heel's gonna start to leverage me forward, right? As I start to fall forward, that's where I'm gonna stick out my other foot, strike to catch myself, okay? So that is my Cuban cross position, and that's the first part of my Cuban break. So what's gonna happen with Cuban breaks then, is I'm gonna do one check forward, and I'm gonna replace. Then I'm gonna do that same checking action, but I'm gonna go to the side. So it's got the same kind of parameters, but it's the side. Notice this leg, the same leg that was going forward, is straight, the foot is flat. The leg that I was on a moment ago, the heel is up, the knee is bent, right? So I'm just gonna transfer between that side check and a forward check. So I check forward and check side, and check forward and check side. Now, also notice that although my feet are doing quite a bit, my head is staying not exactly in place, but more or less, right? So my upper body is more or less staying in place. What's really moving is my hips. That's what's going to allow me to drop that heel and pick up that other heel, right? And keep my head in place, right? So it's just that I'm gonna shift my hips to the side, I check forward, hips to the side, and I check forward and hips to the side. Now, the timing of this is really fast, right? This is 2 and 3 and 4, and normally we would finish by taking a full side step, 1. Then we can repeat the entire thing on the other side. So we do Cuban cross forward, 2 and 3 and 4, and again I take a side step, 1. I'm gonna do it one more time for you so you can follow along from behind. So we start on the right foot with the left foot free. We begin checking forward, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then we're gonna do the same thing here, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, getting all the way back to the original foot. Okay, so that's your Cuban breaks. Now we're gonna do a thing called split Cuban breaks. Split Cuban breaks, we're gonna eliminate that side action. We're simply gonna do a forward check and a side step, and a forward check and a side step. So we're just splitting it up, right? So again, it's that same action as if I was doing my Cuban break, but instead of then going to the side break, I do a side step. And again, I do forward check, replace, side step. I'm gonna do this again here so you can follow along. We have forward check, replace, side step, forward check, replace, side step. So the timing is gonna be 2 and 3, 4 and 1, right? So I have 2 and I replace, side step 3, forward, 4, replace and 1. Yeah, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. This is our split Cuban breaks. We're now going to move to the progressive basic. So the progressive basic is we're taking that same idea of 2 rock steps and a chasse, but rather than doing a chasse, we're going to do what's called a lock step forward and back. So I will show you first from the same position here for a second. So I've got my basic 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. Now progressive basic goes like this: 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Okay, let's go from the side here to show you what's going on with that lock step. So a lock step, we can do forward on the left foot or the right foot. What's going to happen is we're going to take a walk. Then we're going to hit that Cuban cross position that we were talking about earlier. We're going to tuck that right foot in and keep the heel up, and I'm going to press forward into a walk. And then I'm going to again tuck the foot into a Cuban cross position and walk, tuck, walk, tuck, walk. Yeah. I can do the same thing going backwards then, right? So I can step back and I'm going to draw the front foot back to get into that Cuban cross position, right? Walk back, cross, walk back, cross, walk back, and cross. Yeah, let me show you from the front. As I walk forward, notice that this foot is crossed. It's not the same track, it's on the side, it's crossed. Walk and cross, walk, cross. Likewise, as I move backwards, I walk and I keep that foot across, yes? Walk and cross and walk and cross, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a rock step and one of those lock steps, right? So if I start from my basic action, right? I start with my rock step, 2, 3. Now I'm gonna do a back lock. So starting back on the left foot, 4, and now I'm gonna finish with a walk, 1. I'm gonna do a rock step. On my right foot, 2, 3, and I'm gonna do a lock step forward, 4 and 1. And again, I do my rock step, 2, 3, I go back, 4 and 1. Notice that this time I put my heel down because it's a full walk. And I do my rock step, 2, 3, 4 and 1. So that is your progressive basic. So we're just substituting the chasse with a lock step, okay? The other variation we can do on this, there's lots that we can do, but for this dance, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a half a turn. Okay, it's gonna get a little more challenging here. So let me turn this way so that when I turn, you can follow with me. So if I'm doing my progressive basic, 2, 3, 4 and 1, rock step, 2, 3, 4 and 1. I can substitute 2, my rock step with a half turn. So just as if I was doing a spot turn. 2, 3, right? So I'm on my right foot, but my left foot free. Now I'm gonna do a forward lock on my left foot. 4 and 1. Now I'm going to, again, do a half a turn. I walk forward on the right foot, 2. Half a turn walking forward on the left foot, 3. And then I once again do a forward lock on my right foot, 4 and 1. Let me do that for you again. Do a half turn. So I'm gonna step forward on the left foot. I'm gonna do a half a turn, replacing my weight to my right foot. Left foot is now free. I'm gonna do my forward lock on my left foot, 4 and 1. Now I'm gonna do a half turn. I've got my right foot free. I'm gonna walk forward, 2. Half a turn replacing to my left foot, 3. And I do my forward lock on my right foot, 4 and 1. A little bit faster. I do half turn, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. So I'm gonna do this oriented the same way that you would be doing it normally. To give you some context, so we're gonna do one progressive basic first, and then the one with the half turn. So we have 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. Now I'm gonna do half turn, 4 and 1. So I do half turn, 4 and 1, half turn, 4 and 1. So if you're doing this with me, you're gonna turn and you should have your back to me right now. And you should be locking forward on your left foot away from the computer or your laptop or whatever. And then you're gonna do a half a turn, starting with your right foot forward, turning towards the left, back to face me. And then you're gonna do a forward lock on your right foot, 4 and 1. That's your progressive basic with a half turn. All right, a couple more things to go. We've got a check to a ronde chasse. So check, all a check is just that same Cuban cross position that we were talking about, that Cuban break, right? So you already know that part. The next part then is what's called a ronde chasse. So I'm gonna show you first the combination. Check to ronde chasse is that, and you can do it on either side. Check, ronde chasse, okay? So let's look at just that ronde chasse for a second. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have my left foot in front of me. And I'm just gonna circle that foot around, right? Notice that when I get here, this is not like ballet where I'm trying to do this perfect ronde all the way back. That's not how it works. I'm only getting out to like, whatever the side. And then I'm gonna start to hook the foot back in. And I'm gonna take that step back. Again, very similar to our Cuban cross position. I told you it was gonna be important. So we take weight onto that left foot. Then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring the right foot to the left foot, and then I take a side step. We do it again. I ronde, place my left foot, close my right foot to my left foot, and then I take a side step. Okay, so that's gonna be ronde, cha, cha, cha. All right? So now that action, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna turn that check into that ronde, right? So my step forward is gonna be 2, as it normally is, and on 3, 2 things are gonna happen. I'm gonna replace my weight back, and at the same time, I'm gonna start swinging that foot around. 3, okay? So I'm gonna place that foot behind on 4. So it's 2, 3, 4, and 1. Yeah? So that's where it happens. We've got 2 actions happening at the same time. One more time. And 2, 3, 4, and 1. Same thing if we do it to the right. So I would check forward on my right foot, 2. I'm gonna replace weight back onto my left foot, 3, and at the same time, circle that right foot around. I'm gonna bring that foot across, place it, again, Cuban cross position. I'm gonna close my left foot to my right foot, and then take a side step. One more time. I check, step back, swinging that foot around, cross behind, close, side. And the timing here would also be 2, 3, 4, and 1. So if I do them back to back, it would be like this. 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, so that is your check to ronde chasse. And the final thing we're gonna do is a thing called a compact chasse. So back to this idea of chasse, side, together, side. All we're gonna do is we're gonna make it teeny weeny. The first 2 steps are gonna be in place. Together, together, side. Together, together, side. Yeah? So super easy. So we've got, starting on the right foot with the left foot free, we're gonna just step left foot, right foot, and then with the right foot, I'm gonna press to the side. And again, I can do the same thing here. I'm gonna close right to left, left to right, press. 2 and 3, 4 and 1. 2 and 3, 4 and 1. If you want, you can add a little twist. Twist, twist, step. Twist, twist, step. Twist, twist, step. And twist, twist, step. Okay? Depending on the dance, sometimes you can do just one side or the other. Oftentimes it's done in pairs. For us, we are going to do this 2 times each side. So we're going to go 2 and 3, 4 and 1. So that was once for each foot. Now we're going to do it a second time. 2 and 3, 4 and 1. And that is your compact chasse.